to get this started. My name is Steve McNair, the Community Outreach and Government Relations Coordinator for the City of Federal Way. So welcome to our first Hospitality and Tourism Summit. This is the first time we've ever done this, and it's the first time that we've been able to celebrate Tourism Week in Federal Way. And you know, this is really a great time to gather because our community is preparing to host major events, and we're getting ready to do a hospitality and training program. Now, I can tell you, I grew up in the state of Florida, in Central Florida, actually. And my home state, obviously, is the tourism capital of the world, and I've seen firsthand the impact that tourism has had on a region. A long time ago, there was 49 square miles of Central Florida that a guy named Charlie Mack Overstreet owned. And Charlie Mack had that property. It was an orange grove, and he had to stay quiet about it. Well, that's what you and I now know as Walt Disney World. So you can imagine what tourism can do for your region. It's a huge business in the United States. We've got this really great flyer right here if you want to check it out. I'm going to go through some of the stats on this before I introduce the Deputy Mayor. The total travel output for tourism last year was $2.1 trillion in the United States. $2.1 trillion in 2015. Think about that for a second. Think about what a huge number that is. Domestic travel increased by 2.2 billion person trips in 2014. Now that's a 4.1% increase from 2014. Total travel-related employment was 15.1 million in 2015. That's a lot. The travel industry has created jobs at a faster rate, 12.8%, than the rest of the economy at 10.1% since the recovery began in 2010 from the Great Recession. Food services and lodging, it's good that we're here at Billy McHale's. Food servicing and lodging are two areas that have had a lot of support, and travelers spent $235.4 billion on food services, which accounted for almost 25% of total traveler spending. Spending and lodging increased at over 7% from 2014, and it's the highest growth rate among major travel in 2015. Now, closer to home, just 2 weeks ago, a report by Visit Seattle illustrated the impact of tourism in our region. Total direct and indirect tourism, now this is a staggering number, total direct and indirect tourism revenue generated was $10 billion in economic impact. $10 billion in economic impact, that's a huge number. Over 38 million people visited the metropolitan King County area. Visitors spent nearly $7 billion in 2015, which of course is an increase from the previous year. Most of our visitors are actually domestic visitors, over 90%. Meanwhile, international visits do take up about 7.3%, and those folks actually spend more money per capita when they come in because they stay longer, they like to shop, they eat in our restaurants, and they stay in our hotels, which is a really big deal. A lot of overseas people have obviously longer vacations. In fact, they call it a holiday. Another boost to tourism is that more people are choosing to spend the night when they come to our region. 19.7 million in 2015. That helped push hotel occupancy to over 80%, and room rates were up 8.3% last year. While our population is just under 100,000, Federal Way plays a key role in our region's tourism sector. While we don't have our own numbers completed, it's estimated that nearly 1 million visitors came to Federal Way last year. And we really rely on those visitors to come on in. Today you'll hear information about a variety of exciting events, including programs to help drive customers to your businesses, and I know everybody's excited about that. Additionally, you'll hear about tourism events scheduled and pending announcements through the year 2020, just around the corner though. You'll learn about an effort to improve our overall customer experience in Federal Way, and you'll hear from local experts who manage tourism venues and work in the Federal Way market. So with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. This is pretty interesting to be on this side of it, Deputy Mayor. In 1998, the city created the Lodging Tax and Advisory Committee. This committee of the City Council has been instrumental in helping attract major sporting events to Federal Way, from the NCAA men's and women's swimming to diving championships, the U.S. Olympic dive trials. And here to illustrate the role of the city for tourism is our own Deputy Mayor, Jean Burbidge. Jean is the Deputy Mayor, and she serves as the chair of the Lodging Tax and Advisory Committee. Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
I'm very pleased to see all of you here. It's a real delight for me. As Steve said, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee plays a key role in helping to grow our community's economy, specifically through hospitality and tourism. The committee advises the City Council on the allocation of the lodging tax revenue for programs and activities that will encourage tourism in our city. And we've been doing this since 1998. The city receives 1% from a lodging tax that is used to encourage and promote tourism. And while we have been performing this task since 1998, it was only since 2014 that the city more completely embraced tourism through its now fully developed economic development strategy. The authority for the lodging tax comes from the state of Washington through legislation which outlines what we can collect and how we can use the funds. It also identifies that a committee needs to be formed to advise the mayor and the city council. And before I go further, I want to make sure that my colleague on the city council is introduced. Councilmember Susan Honda, sitting in the back there. Thank you, Susan. The membership of the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee is appointed by the City Council and consists of 7 members. 1 member is an elected official of the city who also serves as chair. There are 3 members who are representatives of businesses which are required to collect the tax, in this case our hoteliers, and there are 3 members who are people involved in the visitor activities. And I'd like to introduce those folks, so as I mention your name, would you please stand? First, Mike Dunwoody, the director of the Weyerhaeuser King County Aquatic Center. Rose Eel, events director of the Federal Way Farmers Market. Joanne Paquette, president of the Coalition of the Performing Arts. Jenny Vasquez, General Manager, the Seattle Federal Way Marriott Courtyard. And Richard Song, is Richard here? Richard Song, owner of the Comfort Inn. I don't see Richard here today. So again, thank you folks from the committee for your work. And we are fortunate to have so many wonderful tourism venues in our community. From Wild Waves Enchanted Village, the Weyerhaeuser King County Aquatic Center, to the Pacific Bonsai Museum, which presented a wonderful opening event for their newest display last week. I was able to attend that. It was delightful. And events upcoming soon include Powell's Wood Gardens, always impressive Mother's Day weekend, celebrating Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 5. And then, of course, the Rhodey's Gardens activities that are ongoing so many days of the week. And they have a celebration coming up, their Buds and Balloons event next weekend, and then the Blue Poppy Day. And in addition to these, one of our community's treasures, of course, is the Federal Way Farmers Market. And here to provide a brief on the farmers market is Rose Eel. Rose, would you like to come forward and share some information?
Welcome, everyone. We're so happy you're here. And we have our farmers market, and I ordered a bright, sunshiny day. It's a Chamber of Commerce day. And we're very excited about this year. We have lots of new things happening. We have a Green Fest that we're putting on with the city, and it's all about solar power and sustainability. And we'll have a recycling shredding event. And of course, as you know, we're at the Commons Mall, and the Commons Mall is represented here, and we're very excited to be a part of the mall. And we also have our holiday gift bazaar there in the winter. So we're very pleased to have it this year. We have over 30 farmers, and which include 5 flower vendors. And of course, at Mother's Day, it's a big flower day, and we have lots of beautiful floral arrangements. And this year, including with our farmers, we're partnering up with Decatur Horticulture, and they'll be out there with a booth. And then we have a brand new farmer that has chickens and goats and pigs and all that. So if they bring those, we're going to cage those. We're not going to let them run around. So anyway, but who knows? We may have eggs along with that. So we're very excited about that. We did have an egg farmer one time, and he became so popular. He now has opened up a store in Auburn. So we do make it. We have some new food vendors this year as well. So Caribbean Taste, and we went to the Puyallup Spring Fair, and we saw a roasted corn vendor there, and he had roasted traditional corn and Mexican corn, and the line for the Mexican corn was like 20-1. So we have him. He's going to be with us this year, so we're excited about that. So lots of new things, and of course the mini donuts, and are a very popular item too. So we lots of things going, and we have fresh bucks for the EBT people this year, so they get matching dollars. So there's lots going on. So Saturday, our opening ceremony is at 10, and Jean will be a part of that, and Susan, and so we have lots going on this weekend, and entertainment all afternoon with Shane Cobain as Elvis, and also children's and youth choir for the afternoon. So please come and join us and support your local farmers market, and buy, purchase, and shop all these great vegetables. We don't have frozen vegetables like what's on at the markets now with the listeria. So do come and get your frozen vegetable or your fresh vegetables at our farmers market, and you won't have that problem.
Thank you, Rose. As I said, we work on a variety of activities, such as providing small grants to promote tourism and improving signage for tourism venues in our city. But two in particular you're going to hear about today involve major events that are scheduled or pending confirmation. And one of these is that we are fortunate to have the Pacific 12 Conference Men's and Women's Swimming Championships. This event packs our hotels in either late February or March. We will also be the satellite venue for the National Special Olympic Games in 2018. And I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the Rotary Luncheon today, where we had a speaker from the Special Olympics. And so it was just very coincidental that I was able to hear Beth Knox speak about that event coming up in 2018. We will be home for that to the swimming, softball, gymnastics, and Special Olympic Festival. There's also talk of having the awards presented at the newly opened Performing Arts and Events Center. Additionally, in cooperation with the Seattle Sports Commission, the city is working again to be the host city of the NCAA Men's and Women's Swimming and Diving Championships in 2018 and 2019. And our efforts are continuing with the Seattle Sports Commission as we proceed to be selected as the host city of the 2020 United States Olympic Trials for diving again. So in order to ensure a welcoming and inviting environment, the hoteliers on the committee believe that we should enhance customer service by helping to educate the frontline employees in the hospitality sector with information to improve the overall visitor experience. The key to this is communicating with each other to keep us all abreast of the exciting events. And here to explain this effort and what it means to you is the General Manager of the Seattle Federal Way Marriott Courtyard, Jenny Vasquez.
Thank you. So as a 15-year associate of Marriott, growing tourism and hospitality is very important to me, and it's my passion. I want to take care of people while they're here in my hotel so they will come back. And I want to give my team the knowledge that they need about the area to really enrich their experience. So that's what our focus is with this hospitality and tourism training program. It's a two-part program. one part is to help us build some familiarization within the city for our frontline hospitality workers so they really are familiar with all of the hidden gems in the community, with the resources that are available to them. So when one of our customers asks us, what do you recommend in the area? Where do you like to eat? What should I see while I'm here? We can really provide them with great information that compels them to seek out one of the other businesses in our community and leave their dollars here in Federal Way and have such a great experience that they will share that with people back home and that they'll be excited about coming back. As Jean said, we have a number of really amazing, impressive, large events coming into the city, as we have in the past for the King County Aquatic Center. And we really want them to rave about Federal Way when they go back home. So we can continue to capture these fantastic events that are bringing revenue into our city and allowing us to give our associates great hours at our businesses. So the familiarization program is meant to be something that's quick, simple, and fun along the lines of sort of a scavenger hunt is what we're working on developing for our frontline associates to be able to go and do. We're intending to offer a prize or reward for folks who participate to encourage them to do so. And we have a second portion, which is the hospitality training portion, which we're working with the Chamber of Commerce to develop. We appreciate that partnership. And that will be setting up sort of a toolbox for each of our venues and training the leaders in those venues on how to deliver just a quick basic hospitality training. Many of our venues may already have a hospitality training program that they do on site, as we do, but it's always great to have some extra tools and resources that you can use with your hourly associates to really encourage them to offer that just extra great service and those extra steps that will get people coming back to your business and also get them saying great things about our city and our area, whether they're on Yelp or TripAdvisor or what have you. So we're working to roll that out. We will have more details soon on when that will be available to everyone, but we intend to offer this training program twice a year, right before our summer season, and then again in the late fall before our swim business comes back into town for the winter and early spring season. The familiarization scavenger hunt program will be something that would be available throughout the year. So as you have new associates coming in to your business, it's something that they would be able to do right away and really get to know our great city. So I appreciate the opportunity to give you just a brief overview. We look forward to providing you with more information in the months to come as we complete development of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. You'll be hearing shortly about the Performing Arts and Events Center, but I would like to make just a couple of comments about how this new venue will change tourism in Federal Way. The PAC, which includes both performance and event space, will offer enticing performers, local, regional, and touring, and a broad range of events. It will actually turn into a destination location for these events, for these activities, performances, but also for business conferences, all kinds of meetings, many different kinds of competitions actually, from bodybuilding to musical competitions, and a wide range of the widest range really of arts and entertainment. But finally, I'd like to mention that the city is also completing a branding campaign that will allow us to present the attributes of the city in a very positive way. And we're excited to be able to highlight these when we develop this program. There will be a strong emphasis on tourism venues in this process and in this plan, with hotels, restaurants, and other entertainment activities included. And this important work will serve also to enhance effective presentation of the value of the business of hospitality and tourism in our city. So there's so much going on. It's all very exciting, and I'm excited that you're here. So back to Steve.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and thank you, Jenny. All right, let me get my notes back here. Okay. So next we're going to have a panel discussion, which is going to be pretty exciting. And to handle that task, we have someone who actually was put in a rocket ship. It's true. She was put in a rocket ship. She's from Krypton originally. She wears a cape. She is the CEO of the Federal Way Chamber of Commerce. Now, Super Martin, as we like to call her, is a certified chamber professional with experience in economic development. Tim, see that? Economic development, tourism, small business, education, as well as membership organizations from the public sector entities and private sector. She is one of only 6%, or this chamber is only one of, I guess you're one of 6%. Becca, Super Becca, is one of 6% of chamber executives in the U.S. with a CCE designation from the American Chamber of Commerce Executives, and the only practicing CEO in the state of Washington with a CCE certification. That only comes from Krypton, I'm telling you. Becca, you want to come on up? Becca Martin.
Now, if you'd have told me that, as you might imagine, I have a cape in the office. Superman or Batman, depends on what the day is. So I am very excited to be here, and thank you for inviting us. As you know, tourism and that whole hospitality segment is one of the core industries in the Chamber of Commerce, so we are delighted to be participating with you today. I have the great good fortune of moving everybody's script out of my way so that we could introduce our panel today. So I'm going to make an introduction and ask you to come up and take your seat as I introduce you. First of all, we have Kathy McCabe. She was hired as the executive director of the Pacific Bonsai Museum in late 2014. During her tenure, she has overseen the promotion of the museum's annual event, the Winter Solstice. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. And continues to push new programs, including participation in the Artisans Cup, the Super Bowl of bonsais. Additionally, she is promoting an event now called All Decked Out, currently at the museum. Previous to this position, Kathy was deputy director of the Seattle-based Cascade Bicycle Club. Welcome to, welcome to the panel. There you go. Mike Dunway, are you ready to feel that love too? He has served for over 25 years as the first and only Regional Aquatic Center coordinator of the King County Aquatic Center since it opened its doors to host the Goodwill Games in 1990. During that period of time, he has presided over 770,000 swim lessons and hosted over 1,600 events, including the prestigious national and international competitions featuring numerous Olympic athletes. Do you do that with nose plugs? Yeah. He does. Therese Yvonne. She is the executive director of the soon-to-be-opened Federal Way Performing Arts and Events Center. Teresa has held a variety of positions in California related to the management of arts facilities, from heritage and cultural arts supervisor in Dublin to the Arts Commission director in Stockton, arts manager in Tracy, and most recently the performing arts manager for the Lancaster Performing Arts Center. Welcome also to Federal Way. Christy Brady is the general sales manager of Wild Waves Theme Park in Enchanted Village, one of the top 20 visited tourist attractions in the state of Washington. She provides leadership and direction and training to the sales staff, event operations, and marketing staff, as well as 27 seasonal employees. She works closely with the president and general manager to develop overall park budgets, ticket model and expenses, and the marketing plans. Where's Christy? Oh. I took my glasses off. Welcome to the panel. And finally, joining us, Katie Swickard is the program and outreach manager at the Rhododendron Species Botanical Garden. Look at that. She comes with flowers. A visual aid. Katie has been with the garden for 5 years, and she is busy preparing to host its 5th annual Blue Poppy Day next weekend. That's Saturday, May 14th. So welcome to the panel. Take a seat. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take a minute and tell us each a little bit about your venue. We do have a moderator who's going to help us keep the time because there is so much energy and so much happening in these venues that once we get talking, we will never stop, right? Yeah, okay. And you all have microphones. Aren't you excited about this?
Very.
In that case, we're starting with you. So, could you take a minute and tell us about your venue?
Pacific Bonsai Museum. Raise your hand if you've been there. Raise your hand if you think you've been there. We are located on the former Weyerhaeuser campus, and we have over 120 bonsai. What is a bonsai? It's a tree in a pot. Okay, so it is a piece of living sculpture. Our mission is to connect people to nature through the living art of bonsai. And on display at any given time, we have 55 amazing trees. And we're mostly outdoors. We do a major exhibit every year. Our current exhibit is called Decked Out, From Scroll to Skateboard. You have to come in order to get it. And we have 31,000 people come every year. In 2015, they came from 47 states and 31 countries.
Wow, thank you. You're getting ahead of them. I'm gonna take you out of order so we can keep everyone on their toes. Christy.
Am I on? I am. I don't have a cord. Yeah. I'm with Wild Waves at Enchanted Village, and we are the only water and theme park in the state with the largest wooden coaster. We start operation this coming Sunday with the Cinco de Mayo event, so luckily the weather's going to be nice. We hire about 700 seasonal employees each year. How many have worked there? Jenny! Anyway, we're happy to we're so excited to open, and we have some new things coming this summer, so excited about that.
Well, thank you. Mr. Dunwoody.
Thank you for having me. As you pointed out, our name is Weyerhaeuser King County Aquatic Center, and I have a funny story for you. A few years back, I was walking through the lobby, and the receptionist said, "Mike, someone just called and asked if our rhododendrons are in bloom." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Well, what would you tell her?" And I told her that yes, some of them are blooming. And then she asked me how much it costs. Isn't that weird? So I walked back to the office and turned around and laughed. I think that they meant the other Weyerhaeuser facility in town. So it's cool to have that history with the Weyerhaeuser Corporation, and we're looking at doing a project after today's meeting. I'd like to talk to you about that, an idea I have, specifically with the bonsai collection. But we're a county facility. We're run by and maintained by King County. And everybody's familiar with the events that we have at the Aquatic Center, I hope. And a lot of our national events are televised. So when our guests come to town and see the beautiful city that they're staying here at the hotels, they want to come and live here. And some of those events are televised on national TV. They see us on TV and they want to come and live here. So we'll talk more later about how we can continue to make that a successful endeavor.
You know, and it's true. It's really fun. They at the last Olympic trials, you could live tweet, and it was shown on national TV. And I thought that I had made it to the big leagues with my "Welcome to Federal Way from the Chamber" tweet. So we're not worthy. Okay, Teresa, how about a quick minute? I know there's lots to say.
There's lots to say. As Becca said, I'm the executive director of the Performing Arts and Events Center, which is currently under construction. So if you're driving on 320th and you look up Pete Von Reitbauer Way, you'll see some walls going up. That's the stage walls. And we will be complete next summer and have a grand opening next summer. I'll make sure you're all invited. But it's basically, in a nutshell, 41,000 square foot facility. It's performing arts. We'll have a 700-seat theater and an event center with a full culinary kitchen.
I'm getting hungry already. Not just because we're at a venue where I can smell food and I'm looking at all the restaurateurs in town. Finally, a little bit about bonsai. Oh my gosh. Rhody. She's even got a visual aid.
Well, the very first The first thing to know is that we're not the Weyerhaeuser Garden. So we're a private 501c3 nonprofit, and we have right here in Federal Way the world's largest collection of species rhododendrons in a public garden. So the garden is 22 acres with 10,000 rhododendrons of 700 different species. We also have the world's largest public stumpery. So before you're duly impressed with you need to know what a stumpery is. So it's a Victorian concept of a very naturalized planting area with tree trunks and stumps and root balls all interplanted with amazing ferns and companion plants from around the world. So you need to come and see that amazing public stumpery. And our executive director, Steve Hoopman, travels the world as a plant hunter and brings back rhododendrons from far off places such as Sichuan, China. And we save species from extinction.
Well, that's pretty noble and probably exciting when it gets to customs, eh?
Oh, very good.
Okay, well, what we're here a little bit, we'd like some demographics because we like to make our data-driven decisions. So I wonder if we could just really quickly, why don't we just start with you, Katie? Can you share us a little bit about the demographics of your typical visitor?
Typical visitor is very atypical. We have people from the hardcore rhododendron enthusiasts from around the world. We have an international membership. So there are people that hybridize rhodies, or they study them, they grow them, to the common person who's just wanting to take a walk in nature. And all ages, the children love to come and play and visit and run on the trails, and we have a lot of the older generation that love to come and visit. So we have a wide range of ages and from around the world and local and different interest levels.
Something for everyone. Michael, how about you?
Annually, about 300,000 to 400,000 people come just for our events, and the vast majority of them are from out of town, so they're using our hotels. And when they're here, it's not a one-day event. It's normally 3 to 4 days. And a lot of our annual events that don't have a national tag attached to it are actually multi-state. They're either the West Coast or the west half of the United States. So those numbers are pretty big, and it's just about every weekend. So we'll talk more about some of the specifics about that, right?
Okay. Christy?
We do about 550 to 600,000 in attendance. We advertise to mothers 25 to 49 and teens up to age 16. And then for Fright Fest, we move into more of the teen advertisements. And then for Fright Fest, or Holiday with Lights, it's more families and couples. So,
thank you. Kathy?
We have a deep commitment to Access for All. We're a nonprofit, so with no admission fee to come into the bonsai collection, we draw a really diverse audience. And I had mentioned earlier about folks coming from around the world. There aren't many bonsai museums in the world, and ours is in very high regard. This week alone, we've had visitors from Cuba, Mexico, and Iran. So, broad demographic.
I like it. I like it. No, it's global. And this might be a trick question for you, Therese, because I know they're just putting up the walls. But what do you think? Do you have any plans for the outreach?
Yes, I do. Being that we're an event center and a performing arts center, there'll be slightly two different distinct demographics going on. So obviously events, very much like Mike, we anticipate 200,000 plus that will come through the facility annually. We'll have events, things going on every weekend. That will range between national events or larger regional events, all the way down to someone's wedding reception in the facility. And then obviously the performing arts side of it is going to depend on who the artist is. So the larger the artist, obviously the further people will come. Most people will drive about 45 minutes. We're all in time on the West Coast. We don't care how far it is, it's how long it takes us to get there in traffic. So they'll drive about 45, 50 minutes to come see a performance, and then obviously we'll have a really large arts education program that will help with our school system. And I've already been working with our new superintendent on that.
Okay, thank you. Did I get everyone on that one? All right, so we're on to the next one, and this is kind of a detailed question. What do you plan to do to attract out-of-state visitors. And could you be a little bit specific on the options you want to do in that marketing outreach? Is it going to be radio, TV, newspaper, direct mail? Giving everyone a moment to think, just a quick think moment here. And then we're going to go right with Mike, because you're looking at me. Oh.
Well, it might surprise you. We really we don't advertise the Aquatic Center in the traditional sense. To get these national events, I go each fall in September and bid at a national convention to get events that are 2 to 3 years in advance. So things that we're having this year or last year or next year or the following year, I've already worked on, and now I'm working on 19 and 20. And what sells the Aquatic Center is not just the facility itself. It's a wonderful facility. King County does an amazing job keeping it in tip-top shape. But it's really the city, because if you went with me and you saw my presentation, most of our facilities in the country are static. They've been built. There's not a lot you can do with them. What people want to talk about is what happens around that facility. Do they feel welcome? And they do here in Federal Way. They see the banners, the city council members come, and the mayor to welcome the guests personally, and they just don't get that anywhere else. But probably the biggest thing, the biggest set of questions have to do with the hotel industry and the restaurants. And I hope we get an opportunity later to talk about that some more, what you folks can do to have a really big impact for me so my job's easier in September, and we all get a benefit from that.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Teresa.
So same thing, we're going to have regional events. So I've already had a conversation with the Seattle Tourism Board. There's some smaller South Sound. Our event side of the facility is what we would call a B facility. We're not huge. We can seat about 400 people for dinner. So that's not going to be, gigantic events, but we'll have some nice medium-sized events going on there at a regional level, and then obviously we'll have the performing arts side of it, which will have a season that will launch. So we'll have about 50 performances in the first season. So
it's pretty exciting. Kathy.
So I think for us it's twofold. There's general, which would be just about the museum itself, and we do partner with not only the city and the chamber, but also local tourism authorities, whether it's Visit Seattle, Travel Tacoma, and others, and try to work with them so that they can also be ambassadors for us. And then specific advertising is usually tied to our major exhibit. So for example, for the Decked Out has a skateboard theme to it, and we're looking at, well, who are our target audiences? So we've definitely done some print advertising in our markets and also in the Portland market. We also do specific advertising in bonsai journals internationally. We utilize radio frequently and social media.
Thank you. Christy?
As far as attracting out-of-state guests, we do digital, including Hulu for TV and Pandora for radio. And then in Portland, we do big billboards. I think they go all the way into Beaverton. I'm not quite sure, but for sure Portland. And then we do print all the way down through Portland also, as far as direct mail pieces to schools and churches and youth groups. We also do, radio and TV is probably our biggest for out of state, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Did I do the flowers? Katie!
Oh, thank you. Yes, so we have a variety of ways of outreach, and digital is becoming more and more important these days, and that's a really good outreach for us. And then industry specific as well is very important in that that is a big draw and a big reason that people want to come specifically to see us. And then our staff are renowned experts in their field, and so they're speakers around the world. And that's a big draw as they go out and speak and share the excitement, and then people come because of their outreach. So there's a variety of what everyone has said, and social media is really huge, and that's a great outreach for us as well.
It really is. I get so engrossed in what you guys are saying because it's so exciting. I forget what I'm doing. I'm being a bad panel moderator. But we have another question to go through. And I'm just going to phrase it a little bit differently. But, you know, as a Chamber of Commerce, we're all about making connections. And we want those connections because we believe that will grow commerce. So I'm going to ask you if you could take some time and just tell us how the businesses can help connect better to your venues. And I think, Mike, you alluded to that earlier. So let's start with you.
Sure. For the restaurants, our guests are pretty much captured when they're from here, from out of town. They need to find somewhere to eat. And while they're in the building, the parents are there like 13, 14 hours a day for over 3 or 4 days. And they talk among themselves. And coaches are down on the deck with the athletes. And there's a hospitality room at the Aquatic Center for the coaches and officials. A lot of you participate by making in-kind donations for that hospitality room. It's free to the coaches and officials. But when Billy McHale's has their barbecue down in the afternoon for the coaches and officials, then their family, they tell their family or the rest of the team, hey, tomorrow, I know where we're going to go eat. So that's one way with the restaurants. With the hotels, it comes down to service, rates, and convenience. And we have a good selection here. Our hotel industry is considered top in the country. Parents have no problems checking in. They're getting good rooms. They like non-smoking rooms because they're swimmers. And it's quiet, and it's really a winning combination for us. I don't think the hotels need to do anything different. So good job there.
That's always good to hear. Katie.
Oh, okay, let's see. There are several different ways that we can work together, and if you're taking part in the new tourism training, that's a huge, huge thing, so that your staff really learns about what all is available to encourage your customers to come and see and do in Federal Way. So that's an exciting thing I'd really like to encourage. And then we love to partner with different groups, however we might be able to do. If you would like to sponsor an event, that sort of thing, that's always a really good tie-in for our customers to become your customers, and that's a very positive thing.
And we love when we do things with you guys at the Chamber. Christy.
I could say ditto to Mike, but we have a lot of our out-of-state guests will be here for the weekend, and they usually will come on a Saturday. So they're always looking for other things to do, especially restaurants and other venues to just do for the next day. So what we do in our guest relations office is we'll have a list of options for people to do after they leave the park and that kind of thing. And we're going to focus more on that this year at guest relations.
I love how that sounds. Kathy.
Well, we'd love to host you for any team meeting or retreat that you might have, so you have an opportunity to experience the museum firsthand. Also, I don't know, how many of you love to travel? If you love to travel, it's like think of yourself as a traveler. And, I'm always kind of sales training background, qualify people. It's like, hey, are you more artsy, sporty, or outdoorsy? And then kind of in your mind have like, well, here's 1 or 2 things that are really unique that you might want to check out while you're here. And that way you're not having to kind of go through the whole laundry list, but you're taking a moment to get to know them and helping them have an even better time than they expected.
Thank you. Okay, Therese, bring us home.
Okay, so the hotels, I'm really looking forward to you having our full schedule and knowing what's going on in the event center and what's going on in the performing arts side. So, as people come and there will be people that come and stay for, the entire weekend and we'll need to know what other things are going on in the community. And then as far as the performing arts side of it, this is more to the restaurants. One of the things, I would love to have you guys advertise on the back of the tickets. There's different ways that we can partner. People will come to a restaurant before a show. So one of the things is be cognizant of what kind of shows are going on and what's going on in the facility. Is the show at 8 o'clock tonight? So if they're sitting down at dinner at 6:30, it's like, are you going to the show? Yes. Okay, then we'll have you out of here at 7:45, because that's important. Because the worst thing that will happen is, we want them to have a good experience and go back to your restaurant and then come have a good experience at the theater too. And then perhaps, if you bring your ticket back, you can get a 2-for-1 dessert. There's a million partnerships, and she just told me I have time, so I can't tell you all those.
That's how we are. That's how we are at the chamber, man. And you know what? We all can, because there's so much we can do. So, in a nutshell, how would you guys feel about doing some cable advertising for the city of Federal Way as a destination? Everyone in favor on the panel and in the room, raise your hand.
Yes.
I think that one works. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, I want to thank you, and I also want to let you know, in terms of the chamber and the support that it offers, we have an annual relocation and visitors guide that we do that's in production, and that is available. Look at them shake their heads. I love it when you shake your heads. To the venues to help them to give that overview of what's available to do here. We also have the directory that's online is part of a free smartphone app called My Chamber app, and it's GPS based to all of your businesses and restaurants. So when they're looking like, what can I do? I want to go somewhere to eat, and they punch up restaurants, it's going to give them GPS right to your venue. So we're pretty excited about that and to be able to help that way. And without further ado, am I handing it back to the big man? Because I don't have a cape, so I can't really tell from high up what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Steve McNay.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. We're really excited to have this event, and it's just been, a nice start to celebrating the National Tourism Week. We're wrapping up our program here, but if you would please stay around and mingle and talk to one another. If you have any individual questions that didn't get asked of our panel, go ahead and do that. We have some food left to eat, and enjoy your refreshments. And again, thank you all for coming.